Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 11 of season 4 of our F125 Cadillac career mode. Yes, we return this weekend here to the Temple of Speed and the Italian Grand Prix, of course. If you missed out on the video that went live a few days ago, obviously from Zandvoort, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. We had a pretty crazy race, fighting our way through on the back of the field after the second weekend in a row that we made controversial contact with Charles Leclerc. Safe to say though, last weekend, it definitely benefited us a lot more than it did Charlie Boy. We now have a 26-point lead in the drivers' table after finally Oscar Piastri bagged his first victory of the season as well. We've got a 20-point buffer now in the constructors as well, so things are looking pretty good down at Cadillac with just 6 races to go of the campaign. But of course, yeah, we head though to Italy. This of course is Ferrari's backyard and they will be looking to try and return to form. It's also been a track for some reason on F125 that I really struggle with as well. So it's all a little bit peculiar as we head back to Monza this weekend. I'm going to make sure as well that I'm not an idiot and I turn back on full qualifying sessions as well. One-shots are quite good fun to spice things up, but not quite the way I still want to do this series. Of course, if you're new around here and you aren't already, please do make sure you hit that sub button. We are super close to 150k now on the channel as well. If you're enjoying the content and you want to help support us a little bit more, you can click the join button for just £1 a month. You get early access to future videos, as well as a few other little perks and pieces. And obviously as well, I keep mentioning it, drop me a follow over on Twitch. It'd be greatly appreciated. We're getting closer and closer to 10k over there. That is my target by the end of the year as well. So obviously I want to do more and more live streaming stuff in the future. We have a George Russell career mode going on over there. We've got a Nico Hülkenberg career mode going on over there. Co-op is hopefully back tonight as well, when this video goes live. But yeah, without further ado though, if we can win here at Monza, I think we are now definitely favourites for the championship. Because at the moment, I still like Ferrari have got something up their sleeve.
They call it the Temple of Speed and the pilgrims have come to worship. It's all about the speed today. Qualifying awaits us. Welcome to Monza for the Italian Grand Prix.
But as we head then into qualifying here, I've honestly got no idea what to expect around this circuit. We've been so good over qualifying runs this year, but yeah, I just never have the speed around this track. I've mentioned it before, it's just the way the AI work inside this game. They basically have an unlimited amount of battery, which obviously means in qualifying runs around a track like this, they can use it absolutely everywhere. And obviously the human player just can't there. So I'm running 1-0 wing around this circuit. We may as well not even have a rear wing on the car. It may as well just be a dragster around this venue. I'm hoping obviously we make it obviously into Q3. But yeah, like I said, we could genuinely end up out in Q1. So that's not been a bad split time through that first sector. I mean, even then, with next to no wing on the car, we've still got a fair bit of bite there down just the one gear through the Lesmos. I mean, I think we're going to see times down in the 114s this session. That's just how ludicrously quick this track is going to be today. I mean, lap records are going to be obliterated, aren't they? But there is a risk of rain in tomorrow's race as well. So I'm hoping that even if that rain does come, we're going to still have enough top-end speed. As clearly we're still good through the high downforce sections here. This Cadillac comes alive through the twisty parts. Obviously, we saw that at Zandvoort last weekend as well. But tipping it down 6th gear through that final corner. I mean, an apex speed, I think a minimum apex speed there of about 140. And by the time we get back around to the line, a 114.8, we go P2, only slower than Oscar. Is the Cadillac quite good around this track? Well, there we go then. By the end of Q1, no need to go out for a second run there. And Cadillac, we have set the tone in that first session. Charles Leclerc, he'll be disappointed down in P8. Antonelli barely squeezes by there as Jack Crawford out alongside Pepe Marti. That's a bit disappointing for Williams. You'd expect them to be good around here. Pierre Gasly, Paul Aaron, Lance Stroll and Jack Doohan all out then. So 6 cars from 6 different teams. But yeah, a 115.0. That would mean an average speed around this track, I've had to get my calculator back up, of 278 kilometers an hour or 172 miles an hour. If we can get down into the 1 minute 14, like low 14, we're looking at over 280 kph, or about 175 miles an hour. Utterly insane. Well, the only problem I've got, though, is that first lap did feel close to everything I can possibly find inside the car. Now, obviously, the circuit might grip up a little bit more, but the AI can often find a little bit more speed later on in the sessions. So we'll wait and see as to what we can do there as not activating the DRS at exactly the right time, and just those little bits and pieces can cost you so much. Again, break at the 100-meter board, really attack those curbs. We definitely dropped a couple of tenths in Sector 1. I reckon if I got it perfect, and I mean perfect, a 1 minute 13 could be doable here, but very difficult to find 8 tenths of a second around a track like this. Purple through that first sector, though. That's a pretty good way to start. So we'll hop over the curbs, but carrying way too much speed through the exit, and that'll cost us through these next couple of corners. Not even downshifting through the first Lesmo. Oh, no, that's not the line. That is definitely not the line. We'll abandon this lap and we'll go again. We'll just make sure that I've got enough fuel in the tank, then ready to try and attempt this one again then. Obviously, we'll have a delta to go up against, which I guess is nice as well. So as long as we match that Sector 1 split, we should be pretty good by the time we get around to the top of the track. I mean, this isn't a circuit where you'll take too much out of the tyres either. But still, let's see what we can do then. Again, carrying a little bit more speed on turn 1. I mean, I can feel the back end trying to break free there. Don't know if I want to try and move the bias any more further forward. So I'm banging off the red line, though, out of those first couple of corners, and we are immediately a tenth down. It is all those tiny little things that you think normally around a track won't make too much of a difference. But around Monza, where the margins are so fine, it can be super difficult there, as we will now claw back most of that time we lost. This first run in Q2 isn't probably going to be a great benchmark, but hopefully will still be enough to get straight through into Q3. So I've got all of the remaining tyres there as a little bit wide through the exit of the second Lesmo. And now, of course, we'll rack up all the time. Just got to make sure we don't run out of fuel there as well. We could leave it in 6th gear through the first part of Ascari. And I mean, look at how pointed it is through the exit. Able to attack that curb without any kind of problems whatsoever. Yeah, no real surprises there, but tip the car in through the final corner. Get on that battery again as early as we possibly can. Drain everything on the run back to the line. This is going to be a 1:15, 1:14.7, and again, half a tenth slower than fastest, but this time round it's Charles Leclerc. And there we go then, Charles Leclerc, my main championship rival, fastest on the board by the end of Q2. You can see it was only us two, though, again, down in the 1:14s, so at least we know we've got consistency on our side. Tim Tramnitz, though, in that Audi, brilliant effort to go P7, just ahead of Esteban Ocon, Yuki Tsunoda, and Franco Colapinto. Kimi Antonelli, after just making it out of Q1, will be up in Q3 then. As you can see, neither Mercedes through, neither VCARB, that's not really a surprise. Gabriele Bortoletto out alongside Hulkenberg, Nikola Solov, and Ollie Behrman then down in P16. So there are a few surprises as we head into Q3. Could a Colapinto, could a Tim Tramnitz, if they get the toe in the right places, maybe move right to the very front. Well, everybody else then might start getting nervous about trying to claim slipstream off of each other. I'm not interested in any of that in this session. I just want to try and make sure that we get as good of a lap out of this car as we possibly can then. Out of the final corner on the run back towards the flag. Get up over 220 miles an hour. I think that's probably a good place to stop using the battery. But hopefully now with that brake bias move more forward, we'll be able to really throw the car into someone. There are a lot more control and stability over the front that time without risking locking up the rears. So that just means, yeah, we can brake later, we can brake harder in towards that first corner. It might compromise us a little bit around other parts of the lap, however. It's purple, though. Through that first sector we will go. Attack the curbs, nice and tidy, don't run wide. I mean, if we could end up setting up pole position worthy lap time on this first run, and then the second one, I know I can put everything on the line there. Oh, a little bit wide through the exit, as we just went down one too many gears, but so far this lap is really coming together. Ascari, though, where it all can be won or lost. Trying just to leave it in 6th gear there, and that's worked out quite nicely as we'll get on the battery again on the exit. I know I said the AI can use it everywhere, but we're not far off being able to do that as well. Just make sure I got a little bit of charge in the tank ready for the run out of the final corner. So attacking too much on the inside of that final turn. It doesn't allow us to get on the throttle. That will be where we can definitely find a little bit more. But it is still a 1:14.3. That shatters any of the lap time we've seen so far. I might genuinely not be able to match that. Well, the team believe there is another 3/10 in this car. They believe a 1:13 is possible around this Italian Grand Prix circuit. I'm hoping that lap is already enough for pole. So let's just put it all on the line. Let's take big risk out of the final corner. Drain some battery. Of course, won't count as part of my lap usage. So we know we can drain a load of it there. Up over the line we go. And I'll just try and get an extra mile an hour out of the car as well. But we are going to put everything on the line here. We've chased some ridiculous lap times this season. And hopefully we can get another one today. Didn't quite do the sub 1 minute out at Austria. But we did do a 1:23 out on the Jeddah Corniche in this circuit. Obviously, again, the highest speed one in all of Formula 1 there. We found almost another 10th by the end of Sector 1. We're going to get the car nicely nestled over the curbs there. And again, we're just finding a little bit more. By the time we get up towards the top of the circuit, you've got to try and turn it in super early to try and make sure you get the car where you need it. So that is not the line though through the exit rallycross, as we will lose all the time we just gained. And that is super annoying then. We're still pretty much there on level. But I think we have claimed pole either way then, is attack the curbs through Ascari. Maybe not giving myself the run off the exit that I wanted. But we know there's more time to find down a Parabolica. Surely not another quarter of a second though. We will have to brake super late on the way in. It's not enough. I've messed that up badly.
Well, know you're okay.
I mean, we've claimed pole, but like Charles Leclerc at Monaco a couple of years ago, we have claimed pole in the barriers. I wouldn't normally do this, but I just want to see. We've already got pole position here, so I just want to see what kind of lap time we could have genuinely had out of the car if I can nail this run through the final corner there. Get the power down nice and early on the exit. We're already going to find another 10th. Like I said, a 13 was in it if I nailed it. It's a 14.2. I mean, that's just nuts. Well, like I said, I wanted to just see how quick this car can go around this track. And I mean, if I can do a 1:14.2, I mean, a top esports driver is probably looking at close to a 1:12, I would have thought, around this venue. You are so limited, though, by the gearing on these cars. But all of that being said, though, I was never expecting us to be even in the fight for pole position today. Never mind being able to claim it by a good couple of tenths of a second ahead of Charles Leclerc. Oscar Piastri in third. Again, a disappointing qualifying for Lando Norris, who just seemed to get slower as qualifying went on. But top two in the championship, top two on the grid. Let's see what we can do as we head into the race.
Welcome to the home of the Parabolica, now known as the Curva Alboreto, in tribute to the Italian motorsport legend Michele Alboreto. It's a long right-hander. It dares you to keep your foot as far down on the throttle as you possibly can. It's one of the great corners on the calendar, and we're here at Monza, ahead of the Italian Grand Prix. We're 12 miles northeast of Milan for today's Grand Prix at a Monza circuit where we can expect top speeds of around 215 miles per hour. 11 corners on this 3.6 mile track, with 7 of those coming in the form of chicanes. And with a good slipstream and DRS open, there should be plenty of opportunity for some passing here today. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Isaac Hadjar lines up on pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Tsunoda, Antonelli, Lando Norris and Ocon, Sainz, Colapinto, Tramnitz and Gabriel Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, Leclerc, Nicholas Soloff and Russell, O'Sullivan, Behrman, Jack Crawford and Pepe Marti, Gasly, Aaron, Stroll and Jack Doohan rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Well, because of just how insane the speeds are around this track, it's actually quite tyre limited here around Monza. I mean, especially in the early seasons, you're usually two-stopping this race. But today, though, with rain on the horizon, I'm going to take a huge gamble. I'm going to start on the hards and see if we can stretch them to that wet period. If we can't, hopefully we're not going to be at too much of a disadvantage anyway. But I'm just hoping, yeah, we can try and do something a little bit different and see if we can make it happen, of course. Effectively, it buys us a lifeline. It buys us an opportunity later on in the afternoon. But expect the speeds to be utterly ludicrous today. 27 laps ahead of us. Can we beat Ferrari in their back garden? Charles Leclerc with grid penalties as well. It is 5 red lights. There's the lights out, and away we go then as Oscar Piastri will immediately get the jump on me on the running towards turn 1. Here comes Tsunoda as well in that MasterCard McLaren, and Lando Norris now trying to have a look around the outside. Oh, it's turn 1 as I couldn't do anything there. Tsunoda down my inside was trying to dive me. I tried to avoid Oscar Piastri in front. I think Norris there hasn't really gained out either, but sometimes the AI, I could already tell down into turn 1 there that Tsunoda was going to try and push me in towards the back of my teammate there. So as Norris will move up then into 3rd spot early on, he is going to be Ferrari's best hope today. Oscar Piastri immediately trying to break free and build up a little bit of a margin early on. Of course, we banked that 1-2 last weekend. Clearly, Oscar now has remembered how good it feels to win Formula 1 races after a pretty lackluster season so far. But especially, yeah, with Leclerc way down the order, there is a huge, huge chance once again for Cadillac just to try and give ourselves some distance, some daylight in the Constructors' Championship as well. I wouldn't mind if Oscar Piastri wins this race today, as long as I follow him home in P2. Oh, we got yellows. We got yellows already then. There's someone, I think, beginning to struggle a little bit further back. I'm not too sure who that is. As we are just outside the DRS of our teammate. Oh, it's Antonelli, I believe. Is it Antonelli out of the Grand Prix? Is it Ferrari? No, it's Lando Norris. Lando Norris, sorry, out of the Grand Prix. So I thought it was an Italian driver. Turns out it's one of the drivers for the Italian team there. And our only rival early on, Ferrari's championship is collapsing. There is Lando Norris's stricken car then on the side of the circuit. But yeah, I must admit, I certainly wasn't expecting Red Bull to potentially be our closest competitor this weekend. But Antonelli, Ocon and then Antonelli, 3rd and P4 at the moment. Haven't really seen them ever particularly be a threat over the course of the campaign. But clearly now, McLaren, Red Bull as well, both starting to bring some big upgrades late on this season. Early on, though, I'm genuinely just happy to sit behind Oscar. So let's see if we can do a bit of a top speed test then. I had 229 out of her in practice. Is 230 possible inside F125? There goes 229. No! I've done it in the Red Bull, but I think the Red Bull power unit then is slightly better geared. Because 229, we were absolutely banging off that limit. Well, team is still saying then that they are not expecting rain, and I think if we get kind of past lap 15, then I'm going to have to start believing them there, as Leclerc now moving his way up through the order, up into P4 now, popping up on our relative. So yeah, he definitely, I mean, he's quicker than us, he's just set a new fastest lap, but 7 seconds back still. Not impossible to close in, but won't be easy. Well, here we go then, getting to 1/3 distance. Let's see now if we can make a move on Oscar Piastri. Maybe now the tyre advantage starting to swing our way just a little bit. There we go, around the outside. I mean, we've got to stay coordinated. I mean, Oscar's not mathematically out of the championship yet. And dare I say, if he won today, maybe he could try and keep himself in this fight into the last few races. But Charles Leclerc, he's going a good kind of half a second a lap faster right now. He's been able to break free from Colapinto behind him. We've got to try and get on with it, because that Ferrari might still get to us.
Oscar is into the pit lane. Oscar in the pits.
Well, there we go then. Piastri, you'll have just heard there on the radio, diving into the pit lane. Maybe a lap earlier than I would expect from our teammate, but hopefully he's not going to come out in too much traffic and should be able to get a good undercut on Leclerc and Ocon. I mean, now we're out in front. We actually seem to be able to match Charles Leclerc's pace. As Ocon in that Red Bull, rather unsurprisingly, not really a match for your top drivers and teams, but still no sign of rain, according to Mark on the radar. But there's definitely a few more dark and ominous clouds looming around this circuit as well. I mean, you can see there up above a lot more kind of clouds picking up around the track. So I'm like I said, I'm going to wait a little while longer, see if they spot any rain on the horizon. But I'm not going to risk it all for nothing even if I end up finishing behind Oscar, we've got to make sure that we outscore Charles.
We think we might see some rain. ETA about 15 minutes.
Well, there we go then.
Like the fastest tyre at the moment.
As we get over half distance, the team now spotted the rain on the radar 15 minutes out. So that wasn't good. Putting a little bit of damage through the car over those curbs. Only problem we've got, though, is the tyres I don't think are going to make it that far. 15 minutes. I mean, that would be the end of the race anyway. So I think we're going to try and take these tyres a couple more laps, or box to mediums, and probably try and see them through to the flag. Yeah, the team's still not adamant, though, that that rain is going to fall. If it is going to happen before the end of the Grand Prix, it is not going to happen much before the end. So unless it was absolutely bucketing it down, which I don't believe it was meant to anyway, we're going to dive into the pit lane then at the end of this lap. And hopefully try and take a set of mediums through to the checkered flag. Car definitely feels a little bit sketchy in places, but with a 23-second buffer ahead of Oscar Piastri, I think we might come out just behind these two. As I'm just getting very nervous that Leclerc's going to be able to find a way around him there. Dip the car through those final couple of turns, make sure we attack the pit lane entry. As I said in qualifying, the fine margins make so much of a difference around this track. As out of Ascari comes Oscar Piastri. Obviously, he'll want to win this race. Italian heritage, of course. Charles Leclerc will want to win this race. Ferrari, easy to lead, of course, as well there. But onto the mediums, we will go to the checkered flag. Nice 2.5 second stop. And even if we come out behind, how far will that gap be? Surely it's not going to be much then, as don't get any wheel spin on the exit. There goes Piastri. And where is Charles Leclerc then? He is going to be right alongside us, wheel to wheel, with my championship rival, like Hamilton and Verstappen. Back in 2021, we give each other space though. We have got the grip off of the corner, and we hang on to that P2 spot. Let's see if we can try and get away from Charles. Or is he going to be able to try and continue attacking there? He's got a huge amount of speed up the hill. And Charles Leclerc will immediately, go through. As I thought he was going to leave me a gap there around the outside, but apparently not. We will hop over the chicane there and over the bump on the exit.
If you keep it up, the stewards are going to give you a penalty.
Well, I mean, yeah, just Charles Leclerc there, obviously on much older tyres. Didn't expect him to kind of cut me off on the exit. I don't blame him for doing so. He did have the whole car ahead. But yeah, now a second further behind the Ferrari. But I think we've both lost a little bit of ground to Oscar. I think Charles Leclerc's about to do it. I think Leclerc is about to get inside the range of Oscar Piastri here. And unless I can get a run on the Monegasque man, it will be a question of when rather than if he can get a run on our teammate there. Out of the final corner once more. Just 9 laps to go of this race. And now we're going to pick up some real speed in towards turn 1. Back up again at VMAX. 13,100 RPM. But of course, when we're all doing VMAX, no one's gaining on anybody. Down in towards that first corner. Oscar Piastri, it has been a valiant effort so far. Why on earth would I care what Esteban Ocon is doing right now? Teammate, championship rival right in front of me. And Mark's worried about a no-name in a Red Bull. Just, I mean, well, to be fair to him, he's having a pretty good race, isn't he? For Red Bull standards so far this year. But I do not care about that right now as we make our way through the first of the two Lesmos. I mean, Leclerc, he just seems to be so quick, so planted everywhere around this track. Surely now he's going to be able to get a run on Oscar Piastri as we make our way down this back straight in towards the Ascari. Once again, Charles Leclerc around the outside, and he will swoop through. And I'm sure that Tifosi loving that, as Oscar Piastri loses even more ground through the exit of the corner, as the clouds definitely coming over the circuit a whole lot more at this stage of the race. Charles Leclerc, he might immediately get the DRS range on Oscar Piastri. I've got to try and find a way around our teammates soon. But it can't even be soon, it has to be now. If I don't want to wave goodbye to a chance of winning this race today, use that DRS. I mean, look at that, Oscar hasn't got any DRS. So we're going to fly back past our teammate in towards turn 1. Get back in the range of Leclerc with a bit of luck. So that was super late on the brakes in towards T1. But it does seem to have been the story throughout a lot of this campaign. Oscar Piastri can kind of be there throughout a lot of a Grand Prix, but then late on, when the pressure cooker keeps ramping up, he just cannot match the speed of his teammate and his former team as well, of course, inside this series. But with 5 laps to go now, will it be Charles Leclerc? Will it be ourselves? Like I said, if we can win this race today, that is a hammer blow to Ferrari's chances, and especially after Leclerc took grid penalties. If he can win today, it is a hammer blow to our championship chances. Up on the limiter once again. Leclerc this time will go defensive in towards turn 1. Oh, we just nick a wheel on the grass there. Lucky to kind of keep the car straightened up again. And, well, all of that DRS effectively gained us nothing when all is said and done there. Out of the first couple of corners again. We are still within the 1 second zone, but we are not closing. But it is so difficult to try and recharge the pack. Of course, especially when the AI have got so much straight line speed anyway in their cars. I mean, we're running 1-0 wing here. I've got a tiny bit of wing damage as well, which should theoretically make the car even quicker. But this is the closest I've been to Charles Leclerc down into Parabolica in a long old while in this race. I mean, he's just able to get the bite through the front of that Ferrari. 2 laps to go here of the Italian Grand Prix. And the 2 cars that dominated qualifying, it has been 2 very different tales throughout this race so far. I mean, some rain now would really make things interesting in these final couple of laps. But Charles Leclerc just seems to be able to get the car off of that final corner exactly where he needs it. And of course, we know on the final lap, the AI will really start to drain some battery as well. So I want to, if we can, go for it this time round. And maybe try and build ourselves up a bit of a buffer there. It's all really having to send it into that second chicane there. Lock the rears up. Very lucky that we didn't go into the back of Leclerc as well. But these medium tyres now really beginning to feel the pain towards the end of the afternoon. Tip the car in through the second Lesmo for the penultimate time there. And can we now get a run? Surely not. Half a second back. By the time we get down in towards Ascari, we will not be there this time. Late on the brakes. We can just hear now really beginning to lock up all 4 tyres. And Charles Leclerc maybe now knows this is his chance to push. I've got to try and stick right underneath him though. Down in towards this final corner. Will it be Ferrari? Will it be Cadillac here? Around the Temple of Speed. Can we get a good run off the final turn? This first chicane will be our best opportunity to try and get something going. As we're going to drain the battery right the way down to 0. We're up at VMAX though. Are we going to be able to have a look for a run on Leclerc? Down in towards turn 1. We've got to get it stopped. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact between the pair of us. And now we are side by side off the corner as well. Charles Leclerc and I have come to blows a handful of times in the last couple of Grand Prix. Obviously, many collisions out at Belgium, and one big one at Zandvoort last weekend as well, as Leclerc again tries to have a look down the inside. But we will cover him off this time round though. But we know around the rest of the lap he's going to be so good. And you can see there again immediately, trying to have a bit of a dive, trying to think about it. Through that first Lesmo. Now with the DRS though, can we possibly maintain the speed down this back straight there? We are using everything we possibly got in the car. Charles Leclerc though to the inside in towards Ascari, but he brakes early. Charles Leclerc no confidence there to try and make the move happen, and we will try and get the power off of the corner then. Charles Leclerc dropping back momentarily, but again I know he will get a run on me. I know he will carry speed in towards Parabolica, side by side with my championship rival, in towards the final corner. Surely he can't find the grip around the outside. This is going to be so close. On the run to the line, Leclerc's done it.
Yes, and that's a podium. Excellent drive.
Charles Leclerc, what a drive, what a victory. He wins.
To come here and take victory as a team today on home soil was so important. You can see how much it means to them. The drivers there doing their part. The team's strategy was perfect as well. And the fans really embraced that. What a great atmosphere we had here today.
It's time for our podium celebrations. And as ever in Formula One, 3 is the magic number. And who gets to take the top step of the podium? Yes, it is I, Leclerc. Charles Leclerc on top.
Well, from 12th place on the grid, I'm sure after Saturday night, Charles Leclerc never expected he would return to the top step of the podium, but that is exactly what he has done today. 0.04 of a second in it between myself and the Monegasque man. That has got to be one of, if not the closest finish I have ever had on F1 25. Oscar Piastri just there in P3 ahead of Esteban Ocon and Carlos Sainz, and after Solov finally got his first points of the year last weekend, 6th place here is absolutely brilliant going. Antonelli, Colapinto, Russell and Nico Hulkenberg will get a point on the board for Audi as well, just ahead. Well, I mean, look at that 19 thousandths in it between Hulk and Pierre Gasly, as unfortunately 2 weekends in a row he has failed to score for Mercedes. Tim Travnitz, he'll be disappointed down in P12, and you can see at the rear of the field, Zach O'Sullivan, Lando Norris, 2 Brits who failed to see the checkered flag. What does that do, though, to our World Championship? Well, Charles Leclerc, he needed this win. 19 points in it with 5 races to go. I believe now, mathematically, anybody lower than George Russell is out of it with these final few Grand Prix. I think we've got, 5 races and 2 sprints, so 141 available. So anybody lower than 6th now is mathematically out of the World Championship. But we all know it's going to be between myself and Charles, don't we? But for the first time, I believe, all year, Oscar Piastri now ahead of Lando Norris. And constructors-wise, though, 28 now, the gap at the top. We didn't pull out as many as I would like. Obviously, if we'd taken the win, it would have been 22 gained over Ferrari, as opposed to it just being 8. But 8 points gained is 8 points gained at the end of the day there. McLaren still in 3rd ahead of Red Bull and Mercedes. Williams now just ahead of Haas, who leapfrogged their way up past Aston Martin and Kick Sauber with that great result from, obviously, the Bulgarian as well there. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready, I believe, for the Singapore Grand Prix.